Not everything that asks for my energy gets it anymore. Ooh, what does that mean? This one might get a little bit spicy. Hey, everybody, this is Megan Holly, and you are listening or watching the Magic Made podcast. Welcome. We're talking about boundaries, energy, and how we operate through that, because I don't know about you. Let me know where you are on this kind of Richter scale. But I have spent a lot of my time, especially honestly, really most of my adult life. I was going to say especially once I was a business owner, but that's not where it stopped. Just kind of saying and bowing to really anything and everything that came my way. Every request, every can you do this, all the things. I was just a yes woman. And I spent a lot of time being in turmoil because of that, if you know what I mean, right? Because we've all been there. We've had the resentment of saying, why did I say yes to this? Or why didn't I do it differently? And that doesn't feel good. So this episode today, I'm going to kind of talk about how I've shifted to that. Now, it's still a work in progress. I am not an expert on, having perfect boundaries, because I would have to say that I don't think anybody is. Even people who have really strong, really good assets around having boundaries and make decisions really based within their own needs, I'm sure there's some place or space that they're kind of like, ooh, I could do better there. And maybe there's a thorn in their side. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a certain type of work, all the things. But so I'm no expert by any means, but what I have been kind of operating and moving through is figuring out what that looks like for me, what it sounds like, how it supports me to do differently, say differently, and find how my energy reacts. Okay, because at the end of the day, our bodies and our energy, more than anything, because our brains, these beautiful brains of ours, will do some tricks sometimes and be like, oh, but if you do that, you're going to be more worthy. And if you do that, they're going to like you more. And if you say yes and give more time or more hours or more energy, then, the odds are stacking ever for you in the best way possible. Beautiful brain, I love you, but I have to tell you that's not how it always works. So our body and our energy is the thing we need to tap into more. And that's what we're going to kind of dive into today, as well as just kind of talk on some things that have helped me to find more boundaries and to find less resentful interactions and moments and projects and all the things. So kind of let's jump into this and see how this feels. If you are sitting here going, oh, she's going to tell me to say no to more things and she's going to do this and that, I'm not telling you anything. We are a conversation here. You are sitting here, me and Leroy and you, we are just chilling and we are figuring out what's best for us. So take what makes sense for you, morph it into how it best fits your life. And that's it. That's the tea, my friend. So in my mind, energy is a resource. Let me say that again. Energy is a resource, not an obligation. Energy is a resource, not an obligation. The amount of energy that we have sometimes can feel infinite, and sometimes it feels like there's none left. But both of those ends are made from choices that we embark upon. It might not feel that cut and dry, but kind of it is. It's like a culmination, if you will, of all the things that we say, do, and move about in this life. And so it's not an obligation. We don't have an obligation to all the people and all the things to do everything they ever expected us to do and say the right things all the time and all of that. We just don't. But so often we feel that way because it's hard not to. The expectations are high in this world. We want to be supportive people. I know, I see you. I'm looking at you right now. I see you. You want to be as supportive as possible. Me too. I like to dub myself as a hype girl. I love hyping people when I can, sending, kind messages or hyping their socials or whatever. I want to do that. Genuinely want to be and do that from the bottom of my heart. But guess what? There are days and seasons when I have to take a step back and not do that in maybe the capacity that I wish to, because I need to focus on something going on in my life or just a season shift or whatever. And that's okay. And I just use that example as one little moment, but where is it for you, right? And so when we release guilt around our capacity, it is life-giving. Because those expectations that we were just kind of tapping into, or, the thing that we maybe are just genuinely drawn to doing more of and more of and more of till we've done maybe too much of it, we might have guilt around our capacity for it. And so if we do, what's going to happen is we're going to maybe say yes when we shouldn't. We're going to say things that don't support us. Honestly, we probably aren't putting our best foot forward. We probably aren't doing justice to our clients, our family, our friends, our kids, right? We might be thinking we're doing our best, but we're not. And when I know that I've blown past my own capacity is when I look back on something, I'm like, ooh, like I'll see like a lot of typos in something, or, because I've been moving too fast, or, little very nuanced things that make me be like, ooh, I need like a rest. I need a break. I need a moment. I need a shift. And so when we take a look and we remind ourselves that there does not have to be guilt around our capacity. Our capacities will fluctuate. Our capacities are different than the person next to us. Our seasons will shift, and maybe we will be the Energizer Bunny in one, and we will be the sloth in the other. And that's okay. You can still set, kind of the dial to where it needs to go. And then releasing the guilt around it is reminding ourselves. And I think the most important component of that is being kind, knowing that our worth is not wrapped up. Our worth is not wrapped up in what we can do and what we can serve others within. It is not. I know it seems like it, and this is coming from somebody who would identify as, a high achiever, a goal-setting type of human, but it is not my worth just because I can and, check something off or, finish a project. That is not my worth. Do I still have goals? Of course. Do I still want to achieve things? Of course. But it doesn't wrap up my worth. And I have to keep that in balance often, because if I start doing too much towards it, I'm like, am I proving something, or am I just working towards the end project or goal? Which one is it? And then when you identify what it is, that's when you can say, oh, I'm going to take a day off. Wow, imagine that. I'm going to step back and do something creative or fun instead of grinding towards that goal or, moving towards it in a way that I think this is the only way. That's important. I'm going to identify that better, and you will identify it better too if you kind of are able to take away the guilt of thinking, well, I have to do all the things in just a certain way. Our output of what we can do and are capable of it's just so subjective. There's no objectivity to it, because what one person thinks is killing it, oh my God, you got so much done. The next person's like, psh, I could run circles around you. So again, going back to making sure that we're being realistic about the output that we can do in any capacity. Right? Helping your neighbor, adding in an extra shift at work, like all the things are really important to taking our capacity and our output meters and making sure that we're staying in a space and place that is serving us and not just severing us. Really, I like alliteration, so I had to pull a word that just really made sense with that. But the other thing we need to do is learning how our bodies react to things that are more for us and less, in a vein that doesn't serve us. We listen to our energy. We listen to what excites us. We listen to our physical cues. Or do we? So many times, how many times have you been the person that, one more email and then I'll go to the bathroom. One more, hold on, I got this phone call and then I'll go. It's not that bad. I don't have to go that bad. I didn't drink that much water today. And then you get up and you're going, you're like, oh my gosh, that was bad. I waited way too long. I know you're out there. I know you're listening. because we all have done it in some capacity. And maybe it's not that for you, but it's something that you just get, oh, one more. And then I'll do that one more. And then I'll go take that walk and get some fresh air, or I'll go make the phone call to a loved one just for fun. You know, we put off the human things, the things that really are A, healthy, first of all, and B, we need to do, and C, really are the things that life is made up of, right? Happier interactions, healthy habits like taking a walk, like all the things. We put those off in order to do more, achieve more, get some more. And again, as if you're listening and you're somebody who's like, but I'm a high achiever, I'm a goal setting, goal getting human. Yes, but at what cost? And how can you balance yourself differently then? You know, if our physical cues are being ignored, no good can come of that. The difference between excitement and pressure is kind of the other layer of the physical kind of cues from our body. Are we excited or are we pressured, right? How are we feeling when something's happening? When you take on that new project, there can be that level of like, ooh, I'm really excited, but I'm also a little bit anxious, but I'm also feeling a little bit pressured because I want to do the best job that I can for this person and all these things. So it's like mixing and mingling and can get a little confusing, because you're like, well, that's normal to have all those emotions. And it is. But there's always kind of a moment, at least for me, that I hit where I'm like, oh, it's turned into just pure pressure. I'm no longer excited. I'm not even anxious anymore. Like I've lost even, because anxiety in this chapter of my life is now me knowing that I just like want to do well. I want to put my best foot forward. It's my body's way of preparing, like all the things. So if it moves from excitement to anxiety to pressure, which might feel a whole lot different, or maybe you don't really know the difference between it. We got to get clear and quiet with that, because once we do, we can maybe identify that and say, "Ooh, we're moving into pressurized territory. We're kind of just we're gonna burst out of this container if we don't take action now." And by taking action, it means saying, "Yes, I can do that, but in this type of a time frame," or "No, I can't do that today, but I can do it another day," or "My deliverables will be here at this time, blah, 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 blah," right? Or "I need to talk through something with you. It will help me understand our relationship better." You know what I mean? So just letting things breathe a little so that you can figure out how to get back to kind of the status quo where it's a little more safe to exist and you can not feel like you're just being pulled down in the water, you know, just tethered down in the undertow. That's never going to feel good, especially long term. And so our physical body cues are really important to take a look at from, you know, where we are, from excitement to anxious to my capacity is about to burst and I am now in pressurized mode. So is there something that you can identify that you've moved into that low level feeling? Your body is just in there. Your energy is in there. What can we do, right? How can we move that? And for me, going back to one of the very main common threads in a lot of my conversations is movement has helped me to understand that more, because I used to be like, I'm just going to just keep doing. I'm going to record again. I'm going to, you know, do this. I'm going to do that until I get it right. And then I realized when I listened to my body cues, I needed a release. I've talked about it before when I'm not feeling articulate. Like if I'm doing content at home, for instance, it's so much easier for me to get wrapped up in like, oh, I should have said that differently. I should have said that differently. Ooh, like why did I, you know, have that angle? Well, 3 hours later, I'm doing one piece of a 30-second content. What have I done to myself? I've done some damage, right? I've ripped up my self-esteem. My self-worth is in the toilet. I've gobbled up a day, which is no good for anybody. You know, there's so many other things to do. So like, you know what I mean? There's so many things that have just went against me because I didn't just say, hold on a second. I'm listening to my body. I need to release some energy. I need to, you know, feel unstuck and move. And for me, it is the joy of movement. It is the daily dose of dance. It's moving the magic, baby. It is that. So when we are now like, oh, maybe I will start listening to myself more, what is it for you? Usually it is something either quiet and away, right? Like a moment of quietness, you know, sitting outside on a breezy day just for 5 minutes or something. or movement. I feel like quiet and movement a lot of times are like the two most human things that we can do for ourselves that will kind of reset the brain and then go, oh, wait, I need to change my answer to that email. Ooh, wait, I do want to do this project, but I need to set a different parameter. You know what I mean? We will then see it more clearly because our brain's like, hold on, we have come to homeostasis. I know and understand where I'm going with this now. Woo, okay, right? And so try to see if you're doing the work to understand where you're feeling pressurized and overwhelmed and all the things, what things can help you to release that pressure. Because the body speaks way faster and way more clearly than our brain ever does. The brain is like, I'm trying to keep you safe, so I will say yes because I want this person to keep me in their tribe. Well, we aren't cavemen, so that's just not the case. And if somebody is not going to stay in your tribe, quote unquote, or work with you or, work through something with you, if it's maybe a relationship or a strained relationship, then that really is it a good fit for you anyways, if they're not going to give you space to breathe or allow you to do something in a little bit of a different time frame, especially if clear communication is given. Now, if you've told somebody, yes, I can get that to you by Tuesday, but in your back of your brain, you know that you needed at least 4 to 5 more days, you set yourself up for disaster from the get-go. You've got to move through that situation and then moving forward, have better, different, clearer communication so you don't put yourself in that boat again. Our capacity also isn't fixed, my friend. The beautiful thing of it is that it's not fixed. So what we were able to take in and hold and do in one season might not be the same right now, today. And that's okay. You're not less than, you're not broken, none of it. It's just that maybe this season you need more bandwidth. Maybe you are able to take on a little bit more. But even when you're able to take on bigger things, more fast-paced deadlines, all the things, are you still setting boundaries? Are you listening to your body and not overwhelming the system? That's the question. Your capacity can change and you can identify, but you just have to give yourself the moment of, what am I doing to clearly communicate to myself first and foremost, because that's where it starts, what it looks like to do this and move through it and all the things. And then what do I have to do to help everybody that is within it or is affected by it be on the same page? You also by doing that, create a ripple effect. You create a ripple effect of others making decisions that suit them and maybe your company or your family unit better and differently. How beautiful is that? It's called evolution, and it's a beautiful thing where we can evolve to do differently, work smarter, right? Not harder. We've heard that thing a million times over again, but do we really listen to it? I don't know. I do more than I didn't now, but it's still a work in progress because, right? We can confuse that excitement. Going back to that, we can go like, oh, I'm so excited about this. This is so fun. This is so fun. I want to do it. And I want to just tinker and all the things. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've done too much. I've taken on too much. Hold on. It just backfired on me and I'm kind of like freaking out. So it's like, you have to like, find a happy medium, or at least give yourself, a little bit of a different viewpoint of it, if that's the case. Because I'm an excitable person as a creative and, a visionary. I easily can be like, I will do everything right now, but it's just not real. It's just not, the capacity is not always there. It just isn't. Self-judgment really kind of, as we move into a wrapping moment for this thought process, I think the biggest thing, if nothing else, is the self-judgment part. When we have such strong self-judgment about how good we are, if we're worthy, if we're, likable, all the things based on our capacity and what we can do for something or someone, we're going to just really have a recipe for disaster. It's going to be the worst tasting spaghetti you've ever made. Okay, I've been really craving spaghetti lately, and I learned it was National Spaghetti and Meatballs Day the other day, and I missed it. I missed it, but it's so funny because that was like one of the days that I was craving, and I'm like, dang it, did I know intrinsically that it was that day? I don't know. I digress. But we're going to make a disaster of ourselves if self-judgment is what is the catalyst for us moving forward. point blank, in anything. I'm not even going to give an example, just in anything. If self-judgment is the voice, if self-judgment is the judge, if it is the friend that we think is holding our hand, but is secretly just like in it for their own thing, it's not going to be good. And that spaghetti is going to taste awful. And we're not going to be happy, and we're going to be drained, and we're going to get into that pressurized situation, and we're going to resent, and we're going to not do our best work, and we're going to lose sleep. We're going to not listen to our body cues. We're not going to move our body enough. And I think that's kind of in the world we live in currently. I think that's part of the kind of the epidemic of like so much pressure and sadness and like deepness almost, right? Health, even, health and wellness kind of come into it, because if we're just drilling ourselves down to a deadline, our health and wellness can only stay afloat if we're keeping it top of mind, at least even a little bit, right? So this is all so important. We want to live a life of vitality and a life of, beauty and some ease and all of that. And so we can have it. It's just identifying our capacities, listening to our body cues, getting more real on how we articulate ourselves and get clear and all of the things. So my plea to all of us, myself included, this is also, I'm speaking directly to my own heart as well, I promise you, is to continue challenging and evaluating and tapping into ourselves, especially when we start to see ourselves kind of go up into a moment or a time that is like, oop, I'm becoming a yes person again. I'm becoming, what I know doesn't serve me. How do we kind of take a moment and reframe first and foremost and find a new kind of pathway to move down? And, really quickly, what worked once before sometimes doesn't do the job now. It doesn't work currently in this new situation, new relationship, new project, new goal. Like it just doesn't. And so you might have to think differently, think more creatively, get support. That's important. So kind of the last little thought here for you is the idea that choosing to be able to give yourself space and identifying your capacity and not wrapping up your worth is an act of just like radical self-love, which I know is hard. Some people don't even like the idea of loving themselves. It's just not even attainable in some people's brains. It's like, ugh, which is so dang sad, which is why Magic Made exists, so that we can try to do that better. But take that and make it your own. Make it your own. Maybe drop a mantra in the comments that comes to mind from this episode, something that you can hold on to in this season that really rings true to you. Because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. All the words that flow out of my brain and into your heart and head are only so much, but they have to become something that you actually take stock in and actually match where you're at currently. So drop a mantra. I would love to see kind of what that beautiful brain of yours has conjured up and how it can support you. And you never know who you might be supporting by putting it out into the world as well, right? It's the ripple effect, my friends. It is a ripple effect. You are a drop in the beautiful ocean of change. And so if that doesn't get you to know that we all are in this together, I don't know what does, but let me know kind of what's coming up for you for this. And, have, I guess, a sense of joy instead of dread. Instead of dread when you say no, extend a deadline, do something differently, have the tough conversation, bring joy into it before dread. Because initially we're going to go, right there first. So find the joy in seeing how this all feels for you. Find it in your body, find it in the way that you work and move about your life, just in general, business, everyday life, all of it. Just see what that looks, feels like, and all the things. If you are new here or you haven't done it yet, please take a moment to follow, subscribe, and put notifications on, because I'm here hanging out with you every week and I love seeing you and I don't want you to miss an episode. Selfishly, it's just like my way to connect, and I love that the time that we get together, to be honest. And so take a moment to do that, and it just helps kind of this community thrive and do beautiful things together. So go enjoy just getting really, really real with yourself, finding more joy, and listen to that beautiful body, energy, and mind. I will see you next time. La, 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 la.